Welcome to the most exciting edition of Cambridge Inside Out
We're not a magazine. We're online.
We're a news magazine, electronic news magazine.
Electronic news magazine. And we're not fake news.
Right.
We might be disturbing news, but we're not.
Occasionally.
Right?
We're not fake news, right?
Judy Nathans.
I'm Robert Winters.
Yeah.
But you knew that.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We don't know it by now.
So I think, gotta say it, it's 1 week to go with the election.
That's
so
right.
7 days, 7 little days.
Yeah.
That's it.
And there's a couple more forums, and that's about it. Although they're all, again, CCTV has recorded a lot of them, so you can go to their YouTube or their site. Anyway, you'll find them.
Yeah, and I actually.
Oh, you link them. Robert links them. He's the best source.
Yeah, if you go to Cambridge candidate pages, Google it. It's
and then
easy.
you'll see many different.
At the bottom
charts.
of I think almost all candidates did a little CCTV video. I don't think everybody, but but if you go to the bottom of the candidate page, there's a link to the video, and you can watch them say their
you've
stuff.
Gotten most,
but read what they have to say too.
And you've also gotten most responses back. Right?
I'm now getting
because you said you posted on September 24th that a lot of people hadn't responded.
Yeah, I think actually what I did is I put right on the candidate pages themselves. I said the following candidates have not responded.
Right.
I got immediate responses from that.
So maybe only a few left that are.
I was joking with my office mate at MIT and saying candidates are a little like students. You have to like warn them that the problem set's due
going to be over
at midnight, and that's the deadline, and then suddenly they'll start turning.
Although you don't even have a deadline. The deadline is the election.
I know. But it's
so they did respond. That's good.
Most of them responded. Good. Yeah, I guess only one holdout on the school committee, and then maybe 3 or 4 in the council, something like that.
They just don't like you.
I think.
Or maybe they think it's promoting your site, which is ridiculous because it's all just what. Well,
I actually worried about that. I worried that to whatever degree I ever express a point of view, God forbid.
Yeah. Well, you can express a view here, but
but
or
in
on
Civic Journal. But on the candidate pages, I never do it. But the thing is that if the word gets around that that I have a point of view, then some people will sort of try and shy away from it.
Oh, that means his whole site's tainted or something.
Oh, it's just so silly. I mean, everybody's got a point of view, for goodness sake,
Right.
But it's something.
We're not like.
Now, speaking of elections, I did stop by the Election Commission last night because basically I want to get the latest and greatest registered voter list. Now that the deadline for voter registration was, I think, on the 16th of October. It takes a while to do the data entry, get everything.
Oh, so you will have the new. You can see who's newly registered.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can look them all up, and and different candidates target people in different ways, and there's logic. There's all sorts of logic.
You just need a certain amount of votes to get quoted.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have an election where a lot of incumbents or all incumbents are running for re-election, you tend to find a fair amount of loyalty amongst voters.
Yes.
So some of the new candidates might target the newly registered voters. In fact, they may be the ones who are registering them.
I think that's more the case. Yeah.
Yeah. So we picked up another 1,000 or so registrants since September.
Another 1,000?
Yeah.
That's a lot. That could tip an election.
I have written down here somewhere the actual number of registered voters.
But they don't give you any data. They don't give you any who it is. And
no, I have a complete account of who everyone has voted for. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I do have the voter histories of who has voted. And many candidates over the years, they're very interested in targeting people who are more likely to vote.
Oh, that's happened with the Capiano and the
President. So that's how the old rule of thumb was you don't go after the people who are very unlikely to vote. But
go after your reliables or someone that came out for you before or generally votes.
But that logic has actually been changing because, and I think we saw some evidence of that even in the municipal elections 2 years ago, where people were saying, well, the people I think I'm going to pull out to vote are the ones who are probably less likely to vote in a municipal election, and then if I can make a good case, whatever. So voter turnout jumped in 2017.
Well, I think you're right about that. Actually was true. I think in Capiano Presley case too.
That's right.
She got out a lot of new voters and.
So in other words, the old logic is logic that you only target the most likely voters is still somewhat
they're
true.
all over 50 or 60.
But it's not the sole truth anymore.
Got to go after the young people.
And especially if you have different ways of reaching them through social media and other kinds of sources. So. But still, it's true that candidates still target geographically. You only have so much money to work with.
Right.
Well, at least most of them only have so much
Right.
money to work with.
Right.
And, you have to decide how to use your resources. And, every bit of postage costs. And
Knocking on those doors, though, it's tedious, but it does the trick, because
and
that's really what people like.
I think that's
Much more effective than getting 2,500 postcards or 3 from the same candidate.
As Tip O'Neill always said, and people
Yeah.
often quote,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
excessively quote, was all politics is
Is
local.
local,
And, it's nothing like an actual
Door,
personal
in-person.
interaction, I
Right.
think, to kind of win
Which is
somebody
my
over.
gripe against the forums, is there's never any audience participation at all.
Yeah. I
you
mean,
know. Except for the one I didn't go to where you can at, right? The Mid-Cambridge. Did you go
Mid-Cambridge
to
one,
that?
you definitely have an opportunity
because it's
to
at the
do
tables. But other
Yeah.
than that,
So, so
Yeah.
now, right in the last week of election, I mean, if you have the United States Postal Service, the
Yeah.
South Boston Postal Annex,
you're busy.
there's this whole protocol with these red cards and these bundling that you got to
yeah.
do. And they have this, means high priority political mailing, meaning it can't arrive the day after
Oh,
election.
so they actually make a category for that. Do you pay extra for that? So it's not a bulk mail.
No. But the thing is that they're fully aware of the
Yes.
important role they play and the
That
need to
time
make
is an
sure
issue.
that
Yes.
that the deliveries are
Right.
made. Now there are some campaigns who have just messed it up royally,
Yeah.
and they showed up with a bundle of stuff like on a Saturday night, expecting that
Really?
everybody's going to get it in time for Tuesday
Or
morning
you know
election.
that for a fact that happened?
Oh,
Yeah.
listen, I remember some years where I was getting political
way after
literature
the- yeah.
arriving 2 days after election day.
gosh.
It's like,
Yeah.
so right now, this is like prime time. I mean, I'll bet you that a lot of
Yeah.
candidates' campaigns right now, they're
Yeah.
they're watching TV because they want to be so informed from
Yeah,
what we've got
yeah,
to say. Ha
yeah,
ha.
yeah.
But the thing is they're stuffing envelopes and working phone calls.
I think the
and-
phone calls and
and
the
working
and house
databases.
parties and knocking on doors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to make you have to make up labels if you're going to make labels. So you got to send
Oh, yeah.
a file, an Excel file to a mailer house to this. If they're going to print the envelopes.
You think
or-
people are still sending out mail
people
now?
are
Oh,
absolutely
God.
still sending out.
Please don't save
it's-
paper.
No, I gotta say the biggest avalanche of mail typically happens in the week before, and
Yeah.
it makes sense because I will tell you because I host the Cambridge candidate pages that you can look and see how many hits the various candidates are getting. You can actually see who's kind of being looked at too, by the way.
Oh, you can.
Oh,
you
yeah,
can. Not us, but
So
you
who,
can.
Who do people find interesting?
Wow,
But you
interesting.
can't overread into that
Right.
too much because if
Yeah.
somebody looks like a lunatic, people are going to click on that one
Anyway,
because they're going
yeah.
to say, "Hey, who's this
Yeah,
lunatic?"
and people do
That
this
doesn't
in
mean
their
they're going to vote
Trump's
for
tweets,
it.
right?
Exactly,
But that doesn't
exactly.
mean they're gonna vote for 'em,
So
right? Yeah.
you kind of have to interpret
Yeah.
this stuff. But
Right.
but the truth is that the number of hits on candidate sites are actually going to. It's hysterical to look at. I've sometimes published a graph. It just takes off like it goes from 1,000 to 10,000. It's
On your site.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Good
yeah,
for you.
yeah. So it's
So those people did not respond to his candidate pages. Too bad.
It's really silly if you didn't.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that you also, even if somebody had made a decision about who their top number one vote is going to, and they haven't really given a whole lot of thought to beyond the
people, yeah.
3s and 4s and whatever, those are the people who are going to want to sort of find out a little bit about them. And I always felt that some of the hits that the candidates' pages will get
Yeah.
are from those last minute voters who are deciding how to round out their ballot. It's not just deciding who your top ranked choice is. So a lot of people are doing that too. And a lot of people, candidates may not want to believe this, but there's a huge number of voters who have no idea, even 7 days away from election day, how they're going to vote.
Or how to do it, because yes, you want your number one, but it is so complicated because your number two doesn't necessarily get the votes of someone that you. It's very complicated.
I mean,
and
every
random.
voter needs
Yeah.
to understand that your number
Yeah.
one vote is by far the most important,
Right,
and every
right.
candidate needs to understand that
Right.
too.
Well, they do.
You
I'm
could be
sure,
the
yeah.
second choice behind, on every ballot in the Cambridge, you'll be the first candidate eliminated. Because the ballots are initially sorted by number one rankings, and
Yeah.
if you don't have very few of those, you're at the
Right.
bottom of the poll,
And they won't get transferred.
and the only way you're going to
Yeah,
get up in
or-
the poll is if you start, if some candidates had a lot of extra ballots to give, and you got some
Surplus,
twos,
right.
but you can't nobody really gets the
Yeah,
lion's
it's
share of
tricky.
those.
It's going to be hard because
So you got to get the
I,
ones, and the vote tabulation software that Cambridge uses, Choice Plus Pro, actually has statistical outputs that actually gives information about voter success. So you can actually say how many voters saw their number one choice elected, or their number two choice elected, or number three.
Machines couldn't do that?
It's not the voting machines that do it. It's the tabulation.
So
it's
are you going to be
software.
able to report on that?
I always do. In fact, if you
Which
scroll
one?
down there, I'll show you.
Oh, show me which one.
Yeah, just go scroll down. It's I forget exactly where I have it, but you'll see it. There'll be a table called voter success. There it is.
Oh,
Okay.
put that.
All right.
Put
So
it
here
on
we
the
go.
screen.
So let's see if we could take a peek.
Well, that's right. You have
wrong camera.
Wrong
Okay.
camera.
Hey, that was pretty cool, though, wasn't it?
I don't know.
So I'm gonna
Try
hopefully.
this one.
Yeah, we're
And
gonna
now
try it.
swipe
Okay.
it.
Ain't technology wonderful?
Oh, stop.
There we go.
There it goes. Yay.
All right.
All
So
right.
this is, this is just a count of about I think of 11
sorry.
consecutive elections.
All
Let's
right.
just focus on the council ones at the top.
Okay.
It was number of candidates, number of valid ballots, number of invalid ballots. It's
So
total
let's
ballots
just look at the
cast.
217 right
Yeah,
here.
but if you sort of scoot over a little bit where it says
Where?
percentage of number ones elected, dead center, right?
Yeah, right here.
Okay, what you'll see there is that, like,
Oh,
for
wow,
example, it was
yeah.
actually lower than average in the 2017
Yeah.
election because there were so many candidates.
Interesting.
If you have 24, 23 candidates, then they're scattered around a lot more.
Well, it's going to
there's
happen this year too.
so you're going to have a lot of people defeated. But the thing
Yeah.
is that most of the number one votes are still going to be amassed on the winners, so they're not going to move.
Be interesting to see how the increase from 15 to 17. It was 5,000 more voters.
Yeah, that's right. It was a big,
So be
big,
curious to see
about-
what's going to happen this year.
yeah, big jump. Well, so I have no prediction whatsoever about that. But if you look at that, you can see that,
Yeah.
about 2/3 of ballots just stayed,
Right with the number one.
So if you voted
yeah.
your number one, I mean, it's a little indirect here, but basically, if that was your number one choice, there's a pretty high probability your number one choice is going
Well, I don't get it.
get
why
it.
are these so high then? The 1, 2, or 3 elected.
Because the thing is that if you had somebody who was going to win, was ranked either your first, second,
Oh, then they're
second, or
just-
third choice,
I
what's the
see.
likelihood you can at least feel
Wow.
some voter success? Meaning, I got
Interesting.
one of my top 3 choices elected, and it's
Okay.
consistently over 90%.
So this is very
Right.
low percent of non-elected. That's interesting.
Right. Well, I mean, but the thing is, if you bullet one bullet just means you vote for one
Oh,
candidate.
yeah.
If you vote for very few people, but none
Yeah.
of them are elected, then that can happen. But
Wow.
that's not most people. I mean, most people
Yeah.
vote a little bit deeper, So.
Before you go, wait. This
Yeah,
is curious here. Look at this stat here. 878
Invalid.
ballots were. Now, why is that? I
know,
would have contested that
But
election.
the thing is that back in those days,
Yeah.
in 2003, and
Not that
and
long
in the
ago.
elections prior to that.
Yeah, right. There are a lot of invalid ballots.
Right, but most of them because they were blanks. So there were election workers were simply passing
I
blank
see.
ballots in, so they got processed.
So not even
but
a mark on them, just blank.
They were just blanks, and in fact,
Interesting.
so that might have been done by errors,
Sure.
or but
Okay.
and then in school committee there are people who vote only city council.
Oh
and
yeah,
then
right. You can see that
cast.
down here.
So
sure.
you always see
Yeah.
higher incident of blanks in
Right.
school committee elections. That's
Right.
just the way people
That's
are,
yeah.
right? But the
Okay,
thing is,
yeah.
what happened after 2003, and somewhat with the assistance of the Help America Vote Act,
Yeah.
was that there was a decision made to actively reject ballots. I forget exactly what year we implemented it, but so that if there was a candidate voted an improper ballot, an invalid ballot, if we could detect it, you could give it back to the voter, and then they could recast a valid ballot. So the thing is that we've done a really great
we
job.
can do that now, right?
And
Yeah.
then the new hardware that we have
Yeah.
coming online for this
Oh,
election,
right. Yeah.
for the municipal election, we have the capacity. In fact, it's even easier. There's a nice big readout on the machine that says, okay, this one here you gave the same ranking to more than one candidate,
So it really
Or
reads
you-
it well.
or you gave the same candidate more than one ranking, right?
So the machine does it, not the person that takes your ballot at the end.
The person who takes your ballot doesn't look at it.
Oh, that's true.
Shouldn't
They put
look
it
at
through,
it.
but they see if it's spit out.
But they see that it's spit out, but
Yeah.
then the rule is you give it back to the voter and you say what the readout says, which is it doesn't say anything about specific candidates.
I see.
You know, or it doesn't say
Interesting.
"fool, you fool."
Yeah.
vote like an intelligent person next time. No, it doesn't say anything like that.
Oh,
But
I wish they could do that for the presidential.
right, right. Like, what are you, crazy? We have voting machines that kick a ballot back and say, "What were you thinking?"
I like that.
Yeah, right. So that would end up in court real fast. But anyway, so to whatever degree the election workers and the system itself and the machines can help the voter to make sure that you have their ballot actually count, we've done a great job in making sure that's true.
I have to just make a joke.
Okay.
Can we just segue to a joke?
Sure.
Speaking of that, when I took a sketch class years ago, and I did a sketch because I didn't want to be on camera, and I did on stage, where it was an automated checkout. You know, where you take your stuff through.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and this time, so it was a big guy, and then it starts speaking and said, "You sure you want that? You're a little bit heavy on yourself." This whole thing, and he's looking at it. And I called it Superstar, and
Don't judge me.
So all of a sudden, these machines are telling you they know more about you. So that's just, I had to say
that
it.
actually is kind of true now. Actually,
Yeah,
the thing is,
it was
every
funny.
time you go shopping, you're doing data collection.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Go to CVS. I mean, I love CVS. I really do.
Yeah.
But you get like these receipts here because they know everything you bought.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Anyway.
true.
All right, so let's go back to elections. Or we did this.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I went by election commission, and there were
You said
people.
right-
People,
Oh,
regular
I was just
line
going
of
to
people
ask you
going
that.
in
You
to
can
do-
vote now, right?
You can vote now.
Right.
Well, the
You
way
have
you
to
do
say
it is you
your abs-
apply for an absentee ballot, but the thing is that if you just show up, your
Exactly.
application and voting, it can happen
Right, because
simultaneously.
my daughter actually texted me today,
Right.
and she said, you know, what do I do if I'm not here? I said, I think you
Yeah.
can just go in, but
Yes.
I'll check tonight. She said, I said, why don't you call? And they said, you vote as like an absentee ballot, but you can do it in person.
That's right. And the absentee
Yes.
ballots are scanned and included at your poll, at your precinct
On
during
that
the
day.
day.
During
you
the
know,
day.
they're not. You don't have to wait. They
Right.
go along. You know, when there's a
So-
break in the action,
Right.
a few extra minutes, they process.
So
the
are they
absentee
open
ballots.
regular hours this week?
There are. I forget exactly what the schedule is, but if you go to
Yeah.
the candidate pages, there's a link
yeah,
to.
or just
Right at the bottom of
Cambridge
that,
Election
there's all sorts
Commission.
of
I think you can
information
make a
about that.
phone call.
Yeah, just give them a call. Yeah, the phone.
But that's good. So if you're not
There's a
going to be here
concept.
Tuesday, or if you're out campaigning for, you know, and you're worried, you
Yeah,
can
I mean,
go in.
the rule
Yeah.
is that you're supposed to have a valid excuse. There is
Well,
there's
town.
legislation before the legislature
Oh, that's right. That's not officially,
for what they
is it?
call no excuse absentee voting,
Right.
which would really be great if they could just do
Yeah,
that.
because then you don't have to worry so much about early voting, because this is early voting in a way.
It makes early voting
Well, no, you do
superfluous
have to
at
go
that
to
point.
one place though. You,
Um, well,
you have
you-
to go to the election commission.
Well, you could have a couple of locations set up for accepting
True.
absentee.
Yeah.
Excuse absentee. You probably would even want to do that if you anticipated.
Well, what if
larger
what
numbers.
if you requested an absentee ballot a while ago?
As long as you should have, and you should get it
There's a
quick.
deadline to request it, probably, right?
And you better vote it.
Because they don't count those for till like a week later. They wait for them to come in or something.
The only ones that they wait, there's like a 10-day after election day window.
Overseas,
is
right?
the
Yeah.
absentee overseas
Right.
absentee ballots.
They're
Right.
like.
And that was part of the Help America Vote Act as well.
good.
You know, there was a
Yeah.
you know, if we were just trying to help Democratic voters, and you have to make sure
That's true.
everybody wanted to take care of the people who they thought were going to be more
So
likely to
where
vote
did
for
that
them.
that act come from? Was it a bipartisan vote,
Honestly,
or was it
there have been
Republicans, or what?
going back forever. There's always been various sort of voting related legislation,
Yeah.
but I think it was after the 2000 fiasco in
Oh
Florida
gosh,
that
don't
that
remind me.
it kind of lit
everything's
everybody
been
up.
downhill since then. Really, I think.
Well, but you know, it actually did help to standardize some of
True.
the voting
Yeah.
machines, and you know,
Right.
I remember feeling kind of proud of our work with the technical working committee for the computerization of the Cambridge elections,
Yeah.
in the choices that we made in terms of scanners and maintaining paper trails and all of the things that we thought made sense. And then when the fiasco in Florida happened in 2000 presidential election,
Unbelievable.
I was thinking like everything every disaster we thought about making sure we would prevent, they were just doing it. They
Oh,
had
God.
butterfly ballots.
Awful.
We
Yeah.
once had butterfly ballots.
Yeah.
People may
Butterfly
forget.
means it
Or actually,
opens
we
up,
never,
right? It opens up.
it opens up, and then there were punch cards underneath
Ridiculous.
it. And I would remember when I would take the punch card away, I'd
Yeah.
walk away, go blow it out, just make sure all the little
Chads.
right,
Right.
right, maybe so they would actually count as I
Crazy.
intended.
Crazy.
And we actually were doing that in the state elections prior to when we did the computerization of municipal. So we were actually solving two problems.
Yeah.
Making PR elections work more smoothly, so it wouldn't
Yeah.
take a week.
Right, because of all.
And it could be what I used to say, exportable to other places in the country, and it worked because
Yeah.
a lot of people started taking interest in ranked choice voting after
Right.
that
Oh, well,
because
that's
it
good.
was no longer seen as prohibitively time consuming or anything.
That's a good point,
So
because
that's
that's
why
one
we-
of the complaints people.
That was my agenda.
Good for
You know,
you.
we wanted to make sure this was exportable elsewhere, and it was, and it has become. You know.
But it is still a problem across the country with voting machines. Some are so old and they don't
Yeah,
have paper
and they're-
backups, and it's just
And the thing is it's
voter suppression.
machines
Yeah.
are certified state by state by state. There's no absolute uniform
I
standard.
wish there was. I really do.
I mean, I'm perfectly comfortable having states have jurisdiction over these things, but the thing is that
But
we
it
should-
all should be the same. We should all vote the same, in a way. I mean, we really should, especially presidential.
I would
you know,
I wish we.
Maybe not local.
I know, but that's not
yeah.
really the way the law, the Constitution is
Well,
set
they
up.
need to change that.
I know,
Amendments, right? Isn't that
Make
what
it
amendments
better.
are about?
Yeah,
Well,
not
the
easy.
Constitution is about-
Not
yeah.
easy. Definitely
I
not
know.
easy. So anyway, so elections coming up, and think hard about it, and and actually, we could talk elections all year long here, I suppose.
You
but,
could. I don't want to.
but it's been interesting, kind of watching the mechanics of this year's election come back, play itself out, and think about it in comparison to prior years. I think last week I mentioned how in the candidate forums, there's some forums where half the candidates don't even show up because they figured, it's not my organization.
Yeah.
or they
Well, but you
like
don't
them.
know why they're not showing up. Because
Yeah,
I
I know they have valid reasons too. It's
they
true.
might have a house party that night, whatever.
I know, but if you've got 22 candidates,
Usually
and,
the
and
announcer,
10 show up.
but the organizer
Uh,
of the forum usually will say so and so.
There are some candidate forums this year where the organizers only invited.
That was
a
very few.
fraction
That was
of
just
it.
our revolution, wasn't
It wasn't just our
Oh.
revolution. They were very
Was it
much like
it?
that.
ABC.
I don't know about that, but actually
You had to fill out a question. Green Cambridge or whatever they are now.
right. I mean, there was another sort of, I thought, a terrible foul up, the Residents Alliance, and I thought John Pitkin would be sort of a pretty good match for
Oh, you
their
mean in terms of their support?
type.
They
And
didn't
said,
have a forum.
But he didn't get the application in time, so he wasn't
Oh.
considered. And I thought, wait a minute, hold on.
Oh, so it's because he didn't get his
Yeah.
application in?
So there's some silliness this
I mean,
year.
you just reach out to them.
It's true. But this has become the year of the sort of the warring slates too.
Oh, yeah.
And as somebody asked, I think I was responding to something from Anthony Galluccio today, and I made
Oh,
the
yeah.
point. I said, slates this year basically exist as in response to other slates now.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's sort of like, you have a slate, you're declaring yourselves to be the pro-housing
Yeah.
slate. Well, we're going to have a slate too, and we're going to say, no, we're the ones.
Yeah.
And sometimes they make sure they have nothing in common. And I guess the one thing about people kind of left of center is they've always been competing with each other for who holds the mantle of true leftism. So,
Right.
in the left edge of the political spectrum in Cambridge, which is pretty much the whole political spectrum in Cambridge, you have no, it's our revolution. We are the revolutionaries.
Yeah.
Then it's the Residents Alliance. No, we're the ones that represent the residents and the environment and whatever. And then the new Cambridge Citizens Coalition say, no, we're the ones who represents the
Cambridge City.
neighborhoods.
Yeah, right.
And then the Better Cambridge. Well, I mean, they're pretty much selling themselves as the housing slate,
This isn't
right?
quite up to, but this is good. You've got this. You could show that, but you have to add some people because you didn't, some people were not put on, but they are now.
Yeah, not really.
Oh, did
No,
you
I
change
think,
it? You
I
did
think
change
those are complete.
That is the way it
Those
is
are,
now?
The
Okay.
only thing that's different is our revolution, for reasons that absolutely are beyond me, decided to endorse school committee candidates, and I'm thinking,
Oh,
what's that about? Because you're trying to like legitimize yourself as an organization.
Oh,
I don't get it.
That's
But
interesting.
yeah, but you know, at least I have to say during the days of the Cambridge Civic Association, they were always very, very clear that
Yeah.
city council elections, school committee elections, they both matter a lot. And if we're going to be making a statement about who we support in one, we're going to be doing it for all. They weren't going to like skip one.
Yeah.
But you know, it's so much of this. It's like inflammatory issues this year. You know, especially the overlay issue. But 2 years ago it was the bike issue, and then I think even 2 years earlier it was you know, Carlone Mazin and somebody else. They were kind of selling themselves as the anti-development issue.
Well, development's always
candidates.
going to be sort of the under.
Yeah,
issue
it's
that's,
true. And
maybe we'll talk about the
yeah,
Globe is picked up on
it's
that it's housing is the issue for a lot of local elections, not just us. Yeah.
I think it's obviously going to be an issue because people need to afford places to live. But the thing is that a lot of what constitutes the issue is also determined by the advocates, and they dictate the terms. You know, this matter came up it was either 2 years ago or earlier. I think it was one of the city councilors wanted to have a voter guide where they were going to actually ask candidates to comment on the issues. And I had to point out, I said,
that voter guide
and who
should not-
decides what the issues are? Because curating that question of saying these are the important issues is a very political act.
And that's also personal. And a voter guide should really be more
neutral.
just like your candidate.
And the
pages.
election commission rightly understood that, and and as did the city solicitor. If you're going to put out a voter guide where you've decided in advance what the issues are, you are stacking the deck. And if you're an election commission, you have no business doing that, and they know that. And so that's why
it didn't go anywhere.
the voter guides typically now are basically, these are who the candidates are. This is where you can find. This is how you vote. And they're not going to tell you what the issues are. You know, I wish we had a healthier civic infrastructure where we could illuminate and educate the population about the broad range of issues rather than have the one issue organizations just bludgeoning us to death.
Right. However, development is in your face all over.
You know,
you have to say that. You see Cranes, you see this, you go to Kendall, you go to Alewife.
And it is a persistent
and it's a very
issue
dense
for
city.
a couple decades at least. So.
Yeah, it's not going to go away.
Anyway, we'll be back in a few minutes on Cambridge Inside Out.